everyone, as part of this problem, we have the input table as sales DET. This table has below columns order ID, that is the ID of the order date, that is the date on which the order was placed, order amount, that is the amount that was spended on this particular order. So we have different order details here. As part of the output, we need to find out for every year what is the total sales made in each of the month from January to June. So we need to find the total sales for each of the month. So for example, for 2023, what is the total sales done in January, February till June month? Similarly, for other years, we need to find the total sales. So for example, if we see for year 2024, there were two orders costing 500 and 650. So that sums to 1150. So that is what we need to get for each and every month. So we are going to solve this problem. We are going to solve this problem using two approaches. So let's start with first approach. So what we are going to do is we are going to read the data from this sales detail table. So from this sales detail, as we know, we need to get the data year-wise and month-wise. So what we will do is from this order date column, let's obtain the year part. So let's obtain the year part and let's call it as sales year. Similarly, we need to get the month part and we need the month in the format of January, February. So for that, we will use the date name function and get the month name for the order date. And let's call it as sales month. And we need to find the total sum. So total sum of amount, that is order amount. So we will sum the amount and let's call it as total sales. Since we have done the aggregation, we need to do the grouping based on the columns, that is year and the month column. So let's do that. So this is what we have. Let's run and see the output. So at present, what we have done is for each of the year with the corresponding month, we have obtained the total sales that is required. But we just need to format this data. We don't need the data in this format. We need to do a pivoting. That is, for every year, we need to get the columns of different month and show the data there. So now what we will do is we will take this data as part of a CTE. So in this data, we have found the total sales year-wise and month-wise. Total sales. Okay, so we have got this data. Now we will operate on this data, that is total sales DET. So what we need to do is we need to segregate this into different month columns. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to use the case condition. So we are going to check if the sales month is belonging to particular month, say if it is January. So if the sales month is January, then keep the data as total sales and we can do end. So this we can call it as January column. So with this, what will happen is if the month is matching with the January, then it will keep the value as total sales. Otherwise, it will have null as its value as we have not given any else part. Similarly, we can do it for the remaining 5 months as we have to get the data from January to June. So let's quickly do that and then we will see what is the behavior, what is the output that we are getting. So January, February, March, April, May and June. So for each of this month, we will check if the month is matching and accordingly assign the different columns. So this way we will segregate the data into different columns by checking, by comparing the month. So we have prepared the columns. Now let's run and see the output of how it is looking. So as we see, we have segregated the data into different columns. If this sales details is matching with April, so it will move the data, the sales data into April month. If it is matching with February, it will move in the February month and likewise. But we want it into a single row. So what we can do is we can use a mean or a max function to get the data into a single row. Okay, so we are kind of going to do aggregation here. So why we are doing the aggregation? So that we get a single entry. Like if I ordered this data based on the month, year and month. So say it is sales year. And for now, let me order it based on the sales year. So if we see for year, say 2023, we see a different entries for each month. We just want to create a single entry for 2023. So that's why what we will do is we will group by the year 2023 and we will find the max value or the mean value so that we get 450 as a single entry, 550 as a single entry, and all comes down to a single row. So that's why we will do the aggregation based on the year, and like we will do the grouping based on the year, and we will do the aggregation of mean or a max here. Okay, so let's do that quickly and then see the output. So we will just keep the sales year column here and we will say use the max function. So let's apply it to each and every column here for each and every month so that it picks only the value that is present and discards all the other values so that we get a single row. So that is what we are going to do now. So let's quickly add this max function. Okay, so we are done. And also okay, we have already ordered it by the sales here. So let's run and see the output. We have not added the group by based on the year. So let's quickly do that. So group by the sales year. Okay, so whatever column are not part of the aggregation has to be added in the group by. So that is what we have done. And now if we see, we have got the final output. For every year, we have identified for each of the month what is the total sales. For example, for January, it is 500 plus 650, that is 1150. For February, it is 700 plus 820, that is 1520. So we have correctly obtained the required output. For each year, we have identified what is the total sales across each of the month. So this is the first approach that we have used. Now we will solve the same problem using a different approach, which is pivot. Okay, so this is the data that we have. So let's start with the pivoting approach. So what we will do is, as we know that we are interested based on the year and the month. So we will get that part first from the order date column. We will get the year part from this order date. So this, let's call it as sales year. Similarly, let's get the month part using the date name. If we use the date part, we will get values as 0102. But since we want the values as January, February, that's why we are using the date name function. So let's call it as sales month. Okay, and the other column is order amount. We will keep as it is. So let's see what is the output that we are getting. So now for every year, we have identified what is the month in the required format and what is the amount that we have. So this is the data that we have got. So let's call this as our base table. So know that we have not added any aggregation till this point. This is our base table. Now we will be using the pivot here. So in the pivot, we have to specify what is the aggregation that we want to do and on which column. So we want to do a sum aggregation on the order amount column to find the total sales. So that's why we will add this sum of order amount. And also we need to move these columns as part of separate. We need to move these values as a separate columns. Whatever rows we have January, February, this should not be a row. This should be a column. So we will indicate that using the for clause. We will specify that from the sales month, these are the values which we need to add as part of the column. So we will specify all the values which we need as part of the column. So till June, we will specify. So basically, whichever entries are for a particular January or February, it will move into different columns and those values will be summed and shown in the output. So once we will run, it will be more clear. Let's call this as a pivot table. So we created the base table, and on the base table, we have done the pivoting, we have done the aggregation, and we have separated these rows. We have moved it as part of the columns. So what we will do is we will work on this and we will fetch only the sales year and all these month values as part of the output. So let's copy this and add it here and let's run and see the output. So now as we see the output, we have got the right results. Okay, so using pivoting, we have achieved the segregation of these values into separate columns. How we did it? So first of all, we have taken it as like we have got the month in the right format. And after that, we have done the aggregation and we have specified that this is our pivoting column and these are the values which needs to be added as part of separate columns. So with that, we have achieved the pivoting. So note that the column that is not specified here is sales year. So that will be grouped by. Okay, on that the grouping will be done and summing will be done on this and pivoting will be done on this column. So grouping will happen on this sales month and sales year. And based on that, we will get the summed value here. So this way we have solved the problem. Let's do a quick summary of the two approaches that we have taken to solve this problem. So as we know, we received this input data. We wanted to find out for each of the year, what is the total sales in each of the month. So for that, as part of the first approach, what we did is we picked the sales year, like from the order date column, we obtained the year part using the date part function. Similarly, from the order date, we have obtained the month part, but we have used the date name function because we wanted the values as January, February. So that's why we use the date name function. And we have done the grouping based on this year and month to obtain the total sum. We have aggregated this order amount. So with this, for every year month, we have got the total amount. Once that data is obtained, what we have done is we have checked if the month, that is January, if it is matching with the January value, we have kept the sales value. If it is matching with February value, we have kept the total sales value. After that, we have removed the max from these columns and grouped by the sales year. So that for a year, there will be only one entry present and we get the total values for each of the month as a separate columns. So this way we have solved the problem using the first approach. In the second approach, what we have done is we have used the pivoting. So here, what we have done is, first of all, we have got the year part and month part as usual. And this is a detail level record. We have called it as the base table. After that, on this data, we have done the pivoting. Since we had to find the total sales, we have done the summing based on the order amount and we had to pivot or move the rows into columns for the sales month column. So we have specified this in the for clause and we have specified all the values that should be added as part of separate columns. And while picking the data, we have picked the sales year and all these columns as part of the output. So this way we have solved the problem. So please go through the video. If you liked it, please like the video. If you have not yet subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel and please add your feedback in the comments. Thank you.